everybody, it is that time of the year. MLB Playoffs are here, and this is going to be my predictions on who I think is going to go all the way and win the World Series. It is a brand new playoff format this season, so if I mess up somewhere, that is my bad, but I have tried to do my best research to understand it. Starting with the American League wild card, let's go with the Blue Jays and the Mariners. The Mariners, they got determination, they got motivation, making it back to the postseason after that long drought. And you got the Blue Jays, who played a good season, but I feel like they could have played better. I don't know, that's just me. Now, if we're taking a look at both teams, the Mariners, they got good pitching. Their bats, they can be great, but when it comes to the Blue Jays, I feel like they got better bats. They got solid guys in their rotation, but they also have guys that you definitely should be afraid of if you see them on the mound, because you should be afraid that it's going to be ruined for Toronto, like Yusei Kikuchi and Jose Barrios. You never know with those guys, but with that lineup, I feel like they will be able to get this short series over the Mariners, especially when they're going to be the team with the home field advantage. Give me Toronto winning 2-1. Other American League wildcard game, we have the Guardians and we have the Rays. The Guardians, if we're being honest, they won their division, but it's the weakest division out of all three. And the Rays, they will always surprise you. I think we've learned that by this point. It doesn't matter what team they're rolling out there. It's something about that organization. They are never down and out. Never count them out. And the Rays, they're young. They know postseason experience. And the Guardians, they don't really have that for this recent squad. So I think the Rays are going to do what they do, and they're going to prove people wrong. You're not going to expect them to be playing strong in these games, and I think they will sweep the Guardians 2-0. Now the National League wild card round, starting with the 3-seed Cardinals against the 6-seed Phillies. The Cardinals, they got a drive. They got a motivation. Yadier Molina and Albert Pujols, this is their last season. They really have something to play for. And after seeing this team in person this year, they really have their fans rallying around them. So the Cardinals being at home in this situation is going to be great for them. And they got hot bats. Albert, I'm sure, has shocked the world with how good of a season he had. And Paul Goldschmidt played like an MVP this year, probably going to win it. Arenado was right there behind him. So these bats are hot. They are elite. And going up against the Phillies, who literally got to this spot towards the last day or two of the season, I think the Cardinals are feeling too motivated to be kicked out in this round, especially by the Phillies. I don't think the bats of the Phillies will keep up with the Cardinals, and I think that the Cardinals will sweep them 2-0. 4-seed Mets against 5-seed Padres. The Mets are gonna Met, bro. They had the division the whole season, and of course they finally let it go when it comes to the series against the Braves. The Braves took that spot, putting the Mets in the position they are in now, going up against the Padres. The Padres, they got Juan Soto and Josh Bell, who never really reached their top talent while being here in San Diego. Josh Hader was absolutely horrendous to start, and they've kind of come to like a mid area. That's where they've been at. They did get in, and now they got to face the Mets, who are going to be throwing their strong arms, obviously, with DeGrom and Scherzer, who weren't too hot to end the year, but when it comes to postseason, guys like that, they step up. And I do think against this Padres lineup, they will be shutting them down. And I think the Mets offense will be able to wake up. And I think the Padres offense will stay quite asleep. And the Mets will move on 2-1. The ALDS, Yankees and Rays. Now listen, I know I said the Rays. They're that team that are going to sneak up on you. They're going to be playing like you would not expect them to be, with guys that are like, how do they do it? But the Yankees, they were strong this year. They were one of the AL's best. That's why they're in this spot. Aaron Judge, most likely going to win MVP. This team, it's got a lot of great bats in it. It's backed up by good arms, and they're getting people back from injury the more this postseason goes on. So I think this is one that the Yankees will take care of pretty easily. Not going to lie. I think they sweep them. I think Yanks get this one 3-0. The other ALDS is the Astros Astros and the Blue Jays. The Astros have had tremendous pitching this year. Justin Verlander is up there for a Cy Young candidate. Framber Valdez was going nuts with his quality start record, just going on and on throughout the season. Trust me, I saw it. It hurt. They're in my division. I'm an Angels fan, and I had to constantly see them just own my team. The Blue Jays, like I said, I don't think they ever reached the top potential that they are being held up as. I think pitching is going to win, because if they're shutting you down and you're not scoring runs, you don't win ball games. And the Astros have enough bats in their lineup still to provide, like Bregman, Altuve, Jeremy Pena had a great year. So that young core stepped up with other bats leaving, and the pitching was great. So I think with that combined, the Astros will beat the Blue Jays 3-1. Now we talk about the NLDS, Braves and Cardinals. The Braves got hot at the right time. They literally took the division from the Mets in the last week of baseball. They got hot bats like Austin Riley, who broke out tremendously this year. Matt Olson clearly is loving it in Atlanta, and they got Max Fried, who is stepping up as a great young pitcher who will definitely be great for this franchise for years to come. And if Spencer Strider can make it back through the postseason, that's going to be even better for them. And the Cardinals, like we mentioned, they got a great motivation to play for. And any team with a drive, a motivation in the playoffs is scary. And I think it is really going to come down to the bats, because once you get past Max Fried, it's kind of spotty. And then for the Cardinals, they don't really have an ace in there. So I think whoever's bats are going to be better is going to be the team that moves on. And for me, that's going to be the Braves. It is tough to go against Goldie, Arenado, and the bats they have around them, but with how hot the Braves played in the final week of baseball, they got to be feeling on top of the world after getting the division. So I think the Braves, especially coming off of last year's World Series too, they want that taste again. They got Ronald Acuna for this one, and I think he definitely wants to see the World Series playing on the field, not in the dugout. I think the Braves win 3-1. Dodgers and Mets. Now, I did mention at the beginning of this video, this is a brand new playoff format, and with this playoff format comes a change. There's buys for the top seeds, so that's the Dodgers, Braves, Yankees, Astros. I do feel like somebody is going to suffer from that time off, and I really do think it's going to be the Dodgers. They have a ton of pressure on them, obviously, with this lineup that is absolutely stacked. Pitching is also immaculate. Julio Urias is pitching great. Then Kershaw, the veteran, knows exactly what he's doing. Combined with Tony Gonsolin, who had a good year, just came off injury. And the Mets, they did lose that division. And who better to play their best baseball against than the Dodgers? Like I mentioned, I think DeGrom and Scherzer are going to turn it on. I don't think they're going to go down quietly in the postseason. And I think in a short series, it's only 5, they can do it. I think the Mets will win 3-2. ALCS, that's Astros and Yankees for me. Like I mentioned in the ALDS, the Yankees are going to be getting players back as the playoffs go on. Aaron Judge is going to have help and protection in the lineup. It's going to allow other batters in the lineup to bat well. And the Astros, Bregman, he had a down year. Altuve, he was all right. And then after that, it's the young core. You did have Yordan Alvarez absolutely going nuts. He had an amazing year and definitely got some MVP consideration. Then, like I said, their pitching, oh my God, it was graceful. And this is going to be a battle. It is going to go back and forth. I do think, because of how strong the pitching is, I think the Astros are going to take it. 4-3, Astros move on. NLCS, Braves and Mets. If this happened, this would be heated, because we have the Braves, who literally took the division from the Mets in the second to last series of the year. The Mets, they had their top guys pitching in that series, DeGrom and Scherzer. We know them to be the best pitchers around, and they are not going to forget about that. And if they're going to be out there shoving, dominating, I think the Mets lineup will also be alongside with them, feeling that same passion. I think they will be able to get the job done with the bats, and I think this will be a pretty even one, but I think the Mets will take it to 6 games, 4-2, Mets go to the World Series. That means I think it'll be a World Series of Astros versus Mets. I've talked about the pitching for both of these teams, and not gonna lie, through a whole season, I think the Astros were more impressive with their pitching, and they were more consistent. Then you got the veterans of postseason play for Houston, like Bregman, like Altuve, and they have been obviously teaching this young core throughout the whole season, preparing them for this moment. So this is a moment where I think the Mets are gonna met. I think they're gonna get to this promised land. It's gonna be right in front of them. And then the Astros are going to crush their dreams, like they've done to many of us in the past, 6 years. I think that the Astros will win this one. I think the lineup will be shut down by the Astros pitching staff, and I think the lineup can actually get to DeGrom and Scherzer. And if you get past them, I think they'll be able to handle the other guys. So in 6 games, I think the Astros win the World Series. I don't want them to win the World Series, but that is my prediction. Obviously, never count out the Dodgers. I just really think somebody is going to suffer from the time off with these buys, and I think that'll be the Dodgers. But I would not be shocked to see them in the World Series. I really wouldn't. Now, who will I be rooting for to win the World Series? That would be the Cardinals. I went there this year. I went to St. Louis, beautiful ballpark, beautiful atmosphere, and I would love to see Albert win one more. That is who I'm rooting. Listen to me, rooting for, not who I think. I already told you that. That's what this video is. Rooting for, I'm rooting for the Cardinals. And from the American League, Mariners, I mean, dude, I hate to root for AOS teams, but the story for them this year, it's magical. And I'm sure tons of you are gonna go off in the comments. This is all friendly, man. We love baseball, okay? And I'm just making a friendly prediction video for the playoffs. But I'm sure some of you are still gonna go nuts. If you made it to the end of this video, tell me your World Series prediction in the comments. Like the video, subscribe, tell your mom, your dad, your grandma, your grandpa, your pets, friends, your brother, your sister, and your uncle, everybody you know, to subscribe here to Austin Kleschka. I got this, you got this, we all got this, and I'll see you next time.